Hey guys! I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha, and as always, I'll welcome you to my channel. I am so grateful that you guys are listening, subscribing, and commenting. I really appreciate the support. And again, if you guys want to support me further, you can do that by going to my Patreon link. The link is in the description below. And you can support me by giving $1 a month, $5 a month, whatever you prefer. In this video, I wanted to speak to you guys about a comment that a viewer left on my channel, and his name is William Harrell, and he basically said that I have a really hard time with small talk. I almost always say something stupid, or I have to repeat myself because they don't get what I'm saying. When I tell jokes, everyone thinks I'm serious. Very frustrating being me, but I'm happy I found this channel, etc. So I have a really hard time with small talk is something that I think every INFJ on the planet, or maybe even every introvert on the planet, struggles with. I've done a video on this in the past where I said that I don't want your small talk. If I'm going to sit down and have small talk with people, I'd rather stay at home and do my own thing. Small talk really annoys me, and in general, INFJs are pretty similar in that regard. We just do not. If we're going to spend our time talking and interacting with human beings, if we're going to use our precious social battery up, I'd rather be using it for something important in a way, where I'd rather be using it for conversations that really engage me and where I'm able to have these deep, ethereal conversations where I speak about the universe and meditation and spirituality and aliens and all of those interesting topics, rather than what is the weather like, or where do you live, or what do you do, or what did you do, what did you want to be when you were younger. And I want to know what's going on with you right now. I want to know about ethereal, amazing things, right? Maybe that last one is not that bad. It's nice to know what people wanted to be when they were young. But really, a lot of that is just not interesting to me. Now, of course, every person has a different definition of small talk. So that's, again, what I wanted to expand upon in this video, is that, yes, it can be annoying, William, and all other INFJs, when people do small talk with you. But I have noticed for myself that it is my prerogative, my responsibility, to shift the conversation to something else. So everyone always starts off with small talk with me, because if I'm just meeting up someone new, they're not going to just start off with talking about, oh, so what's your spiritual belief? That's not usually how it goes. People ease into it little by little. Now, of course, the people I hang out with a lot, we are only talking about deep topics. So that's perfect. But I'm talking specifically about the new people you meet in this video. So you meet someone new, and they're asking you questions like, oh, so what do you do? And oh, that weather yesterday was really terrible. And you're like, oh God, please take me away from this small talk madness, from this hellhole that I'm in. Well, how about you try something different, And my thing always with you guys, and everything that I always tell you, is that it's your responsibility. They're not going to bring up a deep topic, because most people don't do that. Most people are afraid to talk about this stuff, It is our responsibility as INFJs, I think, to bring up these topics. Because then I always notice, for myself at least, that, I'll have a little bit of small talk with them. The weather was crazy, oh my God. Or I'm from here, blah, blah, blah. And then as soon as possible, as soon as humanly possible or delicately possible, I will, ask them an interesting question that I care about. So I'll be like, oh, so do you meditate? That's one of the questions that really is one of my primary questions I ask everyone, nowadays at least. That's one of the things I want to know. Do you get up in the morning or before you go to sleep, do you meditate? Do you connect with the powerful source that we were created from? Or do you spend time connecting with yourself in that manner? I really am fascinated by this question. I want to know, what do you do with regards to spirituality in general? So I always ask this question, and it always results in really interesting conversations, at least for me, where the person's like, yeah, no, I meditate, or no, I don't meditate, and this is why. And so it always kind of is a segue for me to move that person slowly but surely into more interesting conversation topics. Now, of course, they might be like, no, I don't meditate, and I'm not interested in that shit. And I'll be like, all right, cool. But that gives me more information about this individual. And, it tells me what kind of person they are. Are they spiritual? Are they not? Maybe they're a sensor and they just really want to live in the physical world. They don't care about the ethereal world. And that's okay. I'm not going to judge that person for it, because there's a lot of judgment going on in the world anyways. Yes, maybe this person's not going to be my best friend, but I can still learn something from them. And so I'll ask them questions. And I think that's one of the ways for us as an INFJ, we can get over this fear that we have of small talk. I think that's one of the reasons why we don't go out as often to hang out with people, is that we're afraid we're going to get stuck in that small talk hell and we're not going to be able to pull ourselves out. I've been trying this method for a long time now, and I've been able to pull myself out of that hellhole, where I've been able to ask them questions and then direct the topic or direct the conversation into topics that I really care about, and have conversation with that person about things I want to listen to. What do I care about? And I'm not saying that this is a selfish way of doing things. I'm just saying that most people will talk about superficial things unless and until you actually prod them into something more important or more deeper. Yeah. So it's your responsibility as an INFJ, because you're the one who really cares about it. They don't. They would rather just talk about small things like reality TV shows or Game of Thrones or things like that. Although Game of Thrones is pretty awesome. They rather talk about that stuff than, what are their dreams or hopes or desires, or what do they think about the universe, or do they think aliens exist, things like that, right? And so, as I said, it is your responsibility to direct the traffic of conversation, the conversation traffic, in the direction that you care about. Yeah? You have the cones, you have the traffic signals. You're the one who's in charge, because they don't care. So the person who cares the most is the one who directs the conversation, right? So that's the first thing I would recommend to you guys. So don't fear it. Just take control over it. And as you are an INFJ, you're probably stronger and more intimidating than them anyways, without you trying to be. And so you'll be able to control the conversation very easily. It's very easy for me to manipulate the conversation to go in the direction that I want to. Yeah, I'm not saying it as a negative way. I'm just saying that's the way it is. If I want to talk about this, I'll pretty much be able to talk about that, because they don't care. They're like, all right, cool, let's talk about this. The second thing about talking is that a lot of times, yes, when we are speaking, the people in front of us will not understand what we're talking about. And I think I've kind of taken it as a joke every single time it happens, because I'll be like talking about something and they're looking at me as if I have two heads and they don't know which head to focus on, right? And I understand. So because we're good at social cues, a lot of times INFJs are socially awkward. But in these regards, we're pretty good at figuring out, okay, the person has no idea what you're talking about. So I'll always backtrack a little bit. I'll step back and say, like, am I making sense here? Does this make sense to you? And then the person will be like, oh my God, I have no idea what you're talking about. What does this mean, right? And then I'll kind of like explain to them a little bit, or teach them a little bit. It's a teaching moment, right? And we love to teach as INFJs. So why don't you take this moment to teach them? Don't think of it as, oh my God, I can't believe they don't know this. I can't believe I have to explain this. Don't take it that in a negative format. It's very easy to go in a negative way for an INFJ, especially in a social situation. But I always say, take the positive view, yeah? It's a teaching moment. So if they say, oh my God, I have no idea what you're talking about, I'm like, all right, cool. So how about I explain to you what this is all about? And a lot of times, 99% of the time, the person's open to it, because people want to learn. Most human beings are open to the idea of learning something new. And so perfect. You can teach them something new. You can perhaps enhance their life a little bit. And if they're not interested in learning about it, then move the conversation to something else. You're not attached to the conversation topic. You don't necessarily have to talk about it. Talk about something else. Something that both of you guys can converse upon and both of you understand. Why do you want to talk about things that the other person doesn't understand anyways? Now, of course, a lot of this has to do with the fact that we're terrible at communication, at least verbally. We're not good at it. We're good at writing. We can text message all of these things amazingly, and people will understand us and will be articulate and brilliant. And then we talk about something and we're just completely terrible at it. Now, of course, I have trained myself to be not so terrible at it, but it takes a lot of practice. And that's one of the reasons why I tell you guys, at least go out and meet a human being once a week, because you need to practice your conversation skills. You need to practice your verbal conversation skills, because it's so easy for us to spend all our time on our laptop or our computer typing away and being good at it, and then going out into the real world and not knowing what the hell to say. Sometimes I'll be at home for a week or 2 weeks and not go out, and suddenly I'll have an event and I'll sit there and be like, oh my God, I don't know how to talk to people anymore. I'll literally be sitting there thinking like I'm an alien, because I just don't know how to talk to them anymore, because I did not have practice, right? So I really do recommend that it's all about practice. The more you practice talking to people, having verbal face-to-face conversations with them, the better you're going to get at it. It's just about practice. It's nothing to do with the fact that you're an INFJ and you can be terrible at it for the rest of your life. That's not really true. If I can learn how to do these videos pretty articulately, not brilliantly, but pretty articulately, then you guys can learn how to have a conversation with a friend or a stranger or at a party. Yeah, it's not that hard. You just have to pick up the social cues and you have to talk about things that you both are interested in and keep the conversation going as long as both of you are interested in it. So it is possible. Yeah. Now, of course, there are going to be topics that you're going to talk about, like death. I talk a lot about death. Oh man, it makes me laugh. And so I'll bring up all these conversations about death, and people look at me like, why are we talking about death at a party? So I've realized that people don't want to talk about death. No, most people don't want to talk about death, especially not at a party where they're there to have fun. And so I don't talk about death with people. I just don't. I just don't bring up that topic, even though I love talking about it with myself. I'll just do videos on it, right? And so there are certain taboo topics. People don't like talking about certain things. Yeah, don't bring up pro-life, pro-choice conversations into your daily conversations unless the person is open to the idea of having a debate over it. Don't randomly bring it up at parties because you're gonna get into a fight with a person. Don't bring up politics, religion. Those topics. Just bring up stuff that that the person can have a good conversation with you, because you don't want to fight with people at a party either, unless that's the kind of person you are. It doesn't seem like the right way to do things either way, yeah? And sense of humor is something that is very weird. We have a very weird, odd sense of humor. I'll think something is hilarious and I'll be like guffawing my way. I'll be like, ha! I'll be like laughing. And I look up and I look at the people and they're just looking at me like, what is she laughing about? And so yes, it is one of those things. I've done videos on this about our sense of humor. It's just the way it is, a lot of times people will not get our sense of humor. Just accept it. It's fine. It's one of the quirks that we have. It's okay. And perhaps learn what actually really is funny to other people. And if you want to be funny, then, follow those rules. That's what I always do. I find out what's actually funny or what actually people want to talk about. And then I just follow those rules and I talk about those things when I'm with people that I don't really know that well. Right? Because if you're with friends and family, yeah, you can do whatever the hell you want. But with strangers, you're going to have to follow certain social etiquette rules. Otherwise, what's the point? So I hope this answered your question a little bit about small talk and about, people not understanding as William. It is a difficult situation to be in, but it is very possible to change the situation so you can adjust it to your life and adjust yourself so that you're not so awkward around people. Okay, it is absolutely possible. Again, thank you so much for watching, for listening. I appreciate your time and support. If you want to support me further, you can do that at my Patreon link. The link is in the description below. And I shall see you guys the next time around. Bye for now.